direct your attention, no, to Section 218 because this is a related provision. Aside from the persons who are authorized to exercise police authority or the persons who can effect searches, seizures, and arrests, there are also persons who may assist the persons mentioned in Section 214. Okay? Again, yung mga naka-enumerate dun sa Section 214, they can request assistance dito sa mga tao na to na nasa Section 218. Okay? Sino ba itong mga nandito? Any person exercising police authority may demand the assistance of and request information from PNP, AFP, other national law enforcement agencies when necessary. Again, to effect search, seizure, or arrest. Okay, so again, if you're going to ask, sino ba yung pwedeng mag-conduct ng search, seizures, and arrest? Section 214. But also, these persons under Section 214 may be assisted by persons under Section 218. Okay? So, malinaw tayo doon. Again, this is different from police power. Pag sinabi natin police power, yung sinasabi ko kanina, police power, who may exercise police power, it's the legislative branch of the government because they are the ones who can enact laws. On the other hand, police authority, sino yung pwedeng who may be assisted by persons under Section 218. Okay? Now, we're done with who. We're done with who may exercise police authority. Let's proceed. When? Kailan naman? Kailan? When may police authority be exercised? Kailan ka pwedeng ma-aresto? Or kailan ka pwedeng ma-search? Yung premises mo, kailan ba pwedeng i-search? Or yung importation mo, kailan ba pwedeng i-seize? Okay? When may police authority be exercised? Okay? As far as searches are concerned, we will also go back to the 1987 Constitution, which says that a person or every citizen or every Filipino has the right against unreasonable searches and seizures. Again, a person under the Bill of Rights, under the Constitution, has a right against unreasonable searches and seizures. The keyword being unreasonable. Okay? The Constitution does not say that you are exempted from searches and seizure. What it says, ang sinasabi sa Constitution natin, is that you are exempted from unreasonable searches and seizures. Okay? Now, what makes a search reasonable? What makes a search unreasonable? What makes it reasonable? What makes it unreasonable? It is the presence of a search warrant. Okay? The issuance of a search warrant will guarantee that the search will be conducted for a legitimate reason and not for an arbitrary or capricious reason or a whimsical reason. Okay? If you have a search warrant, it is an indicator that there is a legitimate reason behind the search being conducted. Okay? Pag walang search warrant, chances are you can question the search being conducted. Okay? So the general rule for searches, it should require, or you should require, a warrant before a search may be conducted. Okay? That's the general rule. But then again, kadalasan naman, ito yung format naman sa mga law subjects niyo di ba? For every rule, mayroong exception, and you will encounter this in many other instances. For every rule, may exemption, and mayroon din exception to the exception. Okay? So you must be familiar with this. Now, as far as searches are concerned, again, the general rule is that you are protected against unreasonable searches and seizure. You have to require a search warrant. That's the general rule. Now, there are exceptions to that. And one of the exceptions to the requirement of a search warrant is a customs search. Okay? What's a customs search? Plain and simple, it's a search conducted pursuant to the provisions of the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act, or the CMTA. If it's a search pursuant to the CMTA, it's a custom search and it is an exception to the general rule requiring a warrant. Okay, again, to recap, for searches, general rule, there should be a warrant, a search warrant. And second, there is an exception to that rule. An exception to that rule is a custom search. Okay? And an exception to the exception is a dwelling house. Okay? That provision regarding a dwelling house can be found in section 220 of your CMTA. If I may read, ayan, it's in your screens. A dwelling house may be entered and searched only upon warrant issued by a judge of a competent court. Okay? So again, general rule, there should be a search warrant if you're doing a search. Exception is a custom search. And an exception to the exception is a custom search conducted on a dwelling house. So if it's a dwelling house, even if you're doing a custom search, but if it's a dwelling house, you will still require a warrant. And who issues that warrant? It's a judge who issues that warrant for the search. It's not just anybody else, but it should be issued by a judge. Okay. So when, again, going back, when can police authority be exercised? Search can be exercised if there's a warrant. Exception if there's a custom search. Exception to the exception if the custom search is being conducted on a dwelling house. Okay? Hope that's clear. How about seizure? Again, going back, police authority is the power to search, seize, and arrest. How about seizure? When can we exercise the power to seize? Look at your section 216. Okay? When are you authorized to seize goods for importation? Your section 216 will state or states any person exercising police authority under this act has the power, and in fact, take note of this, not only power, it's also a duty. It's not really discretionary, it's not optional, but it's a duty to seize any vessel, aircraft, cargo, goods, animal, or any other movable property when the same is subject to forfeiture or when they are subject of a fine. Again, kung tatanungin ko kayo, when may goods or when may an importation be seized? Answer, when they are subject to forfeiture or when they are subject of a fine under the CMTA. Okay? Now, kailan mo masasabi that the goods are subject to forfeiture or that they are subject to fine? They are subject to fine if there's a specific provision in the CMTA imposing a fine. You will encounter maraming provisions dyan sa CMTA na nag-i-impose ng fine. I will not name them anymore, pero I'm sure you can find provisions wherein fine is being imposed on imported goods. When is an importation or when is an item subject to forfeiture? Ito yung provision na, well, mahal na mga estudyante ko dahil pinapamemorize ko sa kanila. Mayroon dyan sa CMTA ninyo na listahan ng mga articles, subject, or items or importation subject to forfeiture. Okay? If there is no provision subjecting your article to forfeiture, if there is no provision imposing a fine, your goods or your importation should not be seized. Okay?